Welcome to the 5th episode of the 19 News Pawcast, where we share the stories you want to hear about our friends with fur, feathers, tails, or scales. I'm Rachel Veda, and I'm here to tell you about it each week. Now, typically, I would tell you to bark your calendar, but right now, you need to run to your closet, grab something blue, and head to the Akron Zoo because it's free if you do. Here's why. The Akron Zoo is partnering with Summit County Children's Services this April in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Wear Blue Day initiative on April 8th, which also happens to be National Zoo Lovers Day, aims to, quote, help raise awareness about the importance of child abuse and neglect prevention. Visitors who wear any shade of blue to the zoo will receive free admission on April 8th. Peak season just started on April 5th, so the hours are now 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Akron Zoo encourages visitors to share photos of you wearing blue at the zoo on social media, tagging Summit County Children's Services and the Akron Zoo using the hashtags Summit Wears Blue and Akron Zoo Wears Blue. If you don't wear blue, admission costs range from $11 to $21, but children under 2 are always free, and parking is also always free. So we look forward to seeing you wear blue at the Akron Zoo. There's 4 new paws helping those who enforce the laws in Northeast Ohio. That's why this new segment of the podcast is called On Pawtrol. Now I need to introduce you to the Avon Lake Police Department's newest member of their department, Crisis K9 Ruby. Ruby is a 2.5-year-old chocolate lab mix whose partner in fighting crime and handler is Detective Walborn. The duo just completed their training at Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy's first Crisis K9 certification class. The Avon Lake Police Department said, you'll see Ruby around town as she is needed at calls for service and community outreach events. We look forward to seeing you on patrol around town, K9 Ruby. I have another story to share out of Akron. Missing a pet is a feeling that I hope no owner has to experience. But for 7 long months, one family did. But this rough stuff has finally turned into some possum news. All because Zeus is finally reunited with his forever family. The Akron Police Department shared a heartwarming post about a family whose 4-legged family member went missing in August, but they were determined to find him. After more than 7 long months of tirelessly searching, Zeus was finally found at someone else's home. When the APD was called to assist, Officers Anderson and Davis responded to the call for service. Akron police said their passion and dedication shone through as they went above and beyond to ensure Zeus was safely reunited with his rightful owner. Thanks to the officers' efforts, a long and emotional search ended with the joyful reunion of a very happy dog back home where he belongs. Also on Pawtrol, I want to talk about the people who are in the police departments who help our friends with fur, feathers, tails, or scales, whether the animals like it or not. Like this turkey, Painesville police called a full-fledged menace to society that was ruffling some feathers around town. The police department said this wasn't your typical harassment complaint, but officers Prugel and Carrillo intervened and detained the suspect for questioning. Quote, after a rather difficult interrogation, the bird was ultimately released and sent on its way, presumably to reconsider its life choices. We'll let you know on the podcast if this bird doesn't stay on his best behavior. With it also being Animal Control Appreciation Week coming up, I need to share this last story on patrol about another bird who actually needed and accepted willingly some help. If an uninvited guest was in your home, your first question may be, who? But for one Westlake resident, that's the sound their new feathered friend would have said. Westlake police shared that a resident called for bird backup after an owl flew into their enclosed porch. Westlake Animal Control Officer Wang went to the home for the rescue mission, where he found the juvenile great horned owl was stuck, but thankfully uninjured. WPD said when Animal Control Officer Wang relocated the owl to a nearby branch, the mom owl was heard hooting in appreciation. Unfortunately, not all animal news shared on 19 News is good news. Animal cruelty happens around the world, and sadly, Northeast Ohio is no exception. That's why this next segment of the podcast is called Paw and Order. This is where we strive to be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves by giving you the latest updates on local animal abuse cases and make sure that those abusers are held accountable. Here is this week's story. Actually, all of Ohio is no exception to animal cruelty, which is why the state law makes knowingly committing certain acts of cruelty to a companion animal a fifth-degree felony. But in Hamilton County, a horse trail operator who faces 18 charges after several of his trail riding horses were seized from his Muddy Water Ranch in Springfield Township last August may have his horses returned to his care after a judge's ruling could get the case dismissed. 19 News' sister station WXIX has the story.
A court entry filed on behalf of the prosecution states the horses used in Clarence Clemens' trail riding business were, quote, abused, neglected, and tortured. The rescue rehabbing the horses tells us 2 had to be euthanized. But on Wednesday, a judge ruled the August search and seizure was unlawful, potentially throwing the case out entirely and leaving the future of the horses uncertain.
Well, welcome to Muddy Waters. My name is Clarence Clemens. Been in the horse business for 50 years.
For the last 8 months, there's been no business here. Clemens is facing animal cruelty charges after 18 of his trail riding horses were seized last August.
7 of the horses that came off the trailer that day were what we considered critical care, meaning that they were a body score of less than 2. The kicker to all of this is all of these horses came to us with fresh, sweaty, crunchy saddle marks where they had probably been ridden the day before.
Susan Pitzer is with Fighting Chance Rescue, the facility that took in the horses. She says 2 had to be euthanized.
This wasn't a situation where it was questionable whether there was something wrong. It was obvious that there was something wrong. This was literally skin covering skeletons for many of these horses.
Clemens denies it. His attorney's court filings state no testimony, no body cam footage, and no reports suggest any horse suffered unnecessary pain. Defense filings also note a veterinarian admitted to overprescribing a medication that could have contributed to one of the horse's weight loss.
I did a good job. My horses have never gone a day without eating, and they always have food in front of them.
This week, a judge granted the defense's motion to suppress evidence from that August search, ruling the investigation was tainted by coercion.
I remember that I was having a birthday party, and they come riding up here, and I said, I don't want you here. And he says, oh, that's fine. I'll just confiscate your whole property. I'll do this, I'll do that. Really intimidated me.
The prosecution has filed an appeal, but the ruling has the community worried the horses could be sent back.
I think that by sending them back, that they've given them a death sentence. That's what a majority of us in the community are afraid of. That it's going to be a repeat situation after Fighting Chance and the community put so much into helping them rehabilitate them.
Megan Courtney operates Courtney Equine Services. She's launched a Change.org petition to keep the horses from returning to Muddy Waters Ranch. When I asked Clemens what he'd do if the horses come back,
I'm free to do whatever I want with my horses when they come back. I haven't decided. I know I have some of them sold.
The fate of these horses now rests with the courts.
Now, the horses, they remain in the care of Fighting Chance Rescue at this point. The Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office confirmed with us today they have filed an appeal. We have more information on this case on our website. Reporting in studio, Brenner Ordonez, Fox 19 Now.
Now, the next portion of the podcast will give you something to celebrate, but before we do that, we have to take a brief pause. So sit, stay, and we'll be right back.